Now the moment we've all been waiting for.
I am Nate Riggle, and you are listening to The Way of the Bonfire. All right, welcome to the podcast. We've got an episode that's focused on something that I've mentioned quite a bit in other episodes, and it might just be the most important thing for us to get good at in this world, and that's learning to calibrate and follow our own internal compass. Because a lot of times what happens is we fall into the trap, especially with all of the information and all of the different voices that are coming at us all the time. There's people saying to have the next solution or the greatest thing for us as individuals or for the world, whatever that is. And there's this trap that's really easy to fall into of looking only externally to be fulfilled and to find the guidance and the answers that we need. We go to all these different sources, and because of the way that it's laid out, because of how many great reviews they've gotten, or because of how popular it is and how well vetted and accepted it is, we fall into this trap of feeling like, oh, this must work. This must be what I need in this moment. And so the irony of that is that I'm kind of doing that on this podcast, but I always talk about judge for yourself if something is true or good. And a lot of people will say things like, oh, well, only pay attention to the facts, or don't pay attention to your feelings, or only pay attention to your feelings. There's all these different things, right? But there is something that we are born with as people that allows us to have an internal compass to tell if something is true or good or real. And if you don't feel like you believe that, then respect. A lot of us live in a place where we're allowed to believe and feel and say whatever we want. That's called freedom. And I know there's always an explanation that this internal compass or this guiding light that is not some divine or higher influencing power, but an evolutionary adaptation based on the individual's previous experiences or the epigenetics of the experiences of previous generations, or just thoughts floating in the ether of awareness that come to us. There's even these wild theories and things called quantum jumping, where they're like connecting to other dimensions. But again, they're all explanations for something that's happening that is used to guide us. And I want to share like how prevalent this is and how it's not just some Western thing. It's not just some religious thing. It shows up in every culture in 1,000 different ways or words. And I'm just going to call it the internal compass. But here's some different words or ways that it's expressed, right, by different people in different settings. Some people call it your intuition. In religion, they call it listening to the Holy Spirit. And that's part of, what I believe. I believe that we've been given this ability to judge things and to know that they're real. And that's what we're doing when we listen to the Holy Spirit. But there's also, it's been related back to your gut instinct. And now people in neuroscience are starting to realize that there's more to that. When you talk about your gut, there's a second brain, and there's just as many nerve endings in your gut as there are in your brain. And in popular culture or in movies, you get, like, I just sometimes refer to it as my spidey sense, right? From Spider-Man, or when somebody says, "Oh, I heard this thing this person says, and it just gave me goosebumps." People have a eureka moment. Or what was your aha moment? Okay, what differentiates that aha moment from all the other moments that you were having? So people will say, I just kind of have a sixth sense about this one. It's often referred to as the light of Christ or your moral compass. Writers and musicians and creative people call it the muse. in religion, it's also thought of as a revelation, or I have a feeling about this, or I have a hunch on this. You'll see that in detective shows, and I just have a hunch, or all of a sudden I just have this like crazy desire to go help someone, or people will say I have a premonition or an impression. It's my calling. I feel called to do this. I just felt like, and this is in religious and religious settings, people say, I just felt guided by something to do this. They talk about inspiration. What inspires you? Why does it inspire you? The internal voice, the angel on your shoulder. Sometimes it's kind of couched in serendipity, where it's not just a random coincidence, but things are brought together and you can kind of see how they were brought together in this beautiful way. Some people will say, this is a sign, or I get a really good vibe about this place. Sometimes it's just, I trust this thing, right? Because they have evidence of some sort. People say, follow your heart, or in your heart of hearts. In the, some of the different yogi religions and that sort of thing, they talk about the third eye chakra, or discernment. There's perception, like what I perceive something here. Or there's good energy about this. Whatever circle you're in, they have a different thing. Like, use your best judgment. It's referred to as divine guidance, or a stroke of genius. This person had a stroke of genius, or, oh, I had an epiphany or a breakthrough. And then some people will say, I just beaten my head against the wall about this thing, and then it hit me, or it just came to me out of nowhere. They talk about following your conscience. Even in, like some of the oldest Disney movies, you got Jiminy Cricket. It's like, follow your Jiminy Cricket, right? You got something, or your North Star. So I just wanted to go through that and share kind of just this little collection that I put together of different ways that people used to talk about the same thing. And that's that we have this power of judgment within us to figure out beyond, or well before anything external comes to us, to be able to know which way we should be going. And to be able to calibrate that and use that well is like skill 0. It's like not even skill number 1, it's skill 0. Because if you can't use that, then you're just wandering aimlessly and you're just being pushed around by whatever forces are around you. And to calibrate it requires just a couple of things. It requires you to, number 1, be aware of it. Number 2, pay attention to the little things. Get quiet and pay attention to, how am I feeling in this moment? Why is this rubbing me the wrong way? Being curious about, okay, I felt this kind of way in my body or my energy, or when I was with it around this thing, it kind of sucked me dry of any kind of energy or spark of life, right? Or this is wearing me down, and like in a not a good way. And if we can learn to be really cognizant and aware of those little nuances and practice that paying attention, and I believe it's, personally, as a religious person, I believe that I'm learning to listen to God and his plan for me. If you're not religious, you could still use the same techniques and tactics to hear and pay attention to your internal compass, your judgment, your gut. And I think it's a super valuable place to start. So that's the skill for today. I hope it helps some people to reset and take a step back and think, you know what, maybe I have just been drifting along, or maybe I've been trying to do this, but not as well as I could be, or I'm not keeping this as like kind of my main way of doing things. I'm just looking to others to show me, other people to just give me a program and show me how to do it and do it for me. But this is the one skill that everybody has to have. Like, you can't buy this. So give it a shot. I know we got out there a little bit today, but I think this is one of the most important things for you to learn. Go get them. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. I love the chance to make your day better in some way, whether that ends up being just a quick reset that you needed to change things up, or even just a laugh or some fresh perspective. If you're getting value out of it, can you please do me a favor and share it with someone else? Because as more people find and listen to the show, I'm able to bring more good stuff more often. It is the fuel to the bonfire. Also, I'd love to hear your feedback and any thoughts or ideas or questions you have so we can be more connected and make the show even better with your input and your inspiration. The quickest way to do that is to send a message to my Instagram handle at wayofthebonfire, which is also included in the show notes. And if you just want to avoid accidentally scrolling on social media, you can send me an email at nate@wayofthebonfire.com. And you know it, but make sure you click that follow button so you can catch new episodes as soon as they're available. Keep tending the bonfire, and we'll see you on the next one.